Aloha Kohala, you're listening to KNKR LP 96.1 FM Kohala. It is 3 o'clock on December 14th, and thank you, Lydia, for a beautiful transition. Our latest DJ here at KNKR. Well, it's that time. It's December 14th, 2022, and we're going to be doing some intuitive talk story with myself, Eila Algood, and
Michal, Anna.
Yeah, and you know, I was just talking to somebody about listening to some old songs, and the kind of lyrics that they had were not what you'd call uplifting. And we were talking about having a topic of language today, the power of language, and Lydia was picking songs based on what the lyrics were. You know,
yes,
more
I love it.
Yeah, that's not always easy, especially if you go really back in time. It's even harder.
Well, as a dance teacher for many years in the schools and doing lots of hip-hop programs, my biggest challenge of the year was finding awesome music with great lyrics.
Yeah.
I often had to, dub out stuff or mix and match or take verses and then repeat it. Sometimes.
Right.
I did a lot of editing.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's not easy. I know what it takes to edit music. Edit anything. It takes time.
Yeah. So it's true. It's hard to find really good music, which is why we've been creating more and more uplifting music ourselves, and been writing a lot.
Have you?
Reading a lot. Yeah, songs are coming.
Taking your poetry into
Well,
song?
you missed the other show the other night, but we had an awesome
I did.
show,
I'm sorry. I heard it was fabulous.
It was. You'll have another opportunity December 30th at Blue Dragon.
Oh, cool.
And it should be really fun. Fun, uplifting music and conscious lyrics, and just enjoying that aspect and using our words more wisely. We're all learning to use our words more wisely, but the only way we learn is by putting our attention there, right?
Yeah.
Energy flows where attention goes, we always say.
Yes.
So we have to put our energy into thinking about what we say and how we're saying it and what we're thinking about, where we're putting our attention and
even what we're listening to.
Right.
You know, I wanted to put on some dance music this morning, so I cued into Siri or whatever and just said, play 70s dance music. And this artist came up that I used to love. I loved this particular song, and I probably haven't heard it in 40 years. And I listened to the words, and it was like, oh, I can't let go of you, because if I let go of you, I'm nothing without you. And I'm like, oh, why did I listen to that?
I have had the very same experience of hearing songs again and thinking, wow, and we were all singing that again and again.
Like a chant, right?
Yeah, and you're creating every time you're singing.
You're attracting that, whatever that is to you,
So whatever we say, when you want someone to repeat it back over and over, because they're going to learn your song, gosh, we want to say something that's creating something good.
Yeah.
And I too, some of the songs songs I really liked that I thought, the beat's really groovy. I was listening the other day on the radio. Oh, you guys are going to like this one. That's going to make you sweat. Hey, sweat till you don't sweat no more. And then if you cry, I'm going to push it a little more. I don't want to listen to this. This isn't working for me. I mean, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I love this song. What's going on here? Look, if I pay attention to what's actually being said in the lyrics, I'm not sure I'm down for these lyrics.
Yeah, so that's a big thing, because for those of us who are into music and we listen to a lot of music, it's important to be mindful of what we're listening to. And that goes for everything else, right? If we're listening to the radio, if we're listening to, we're watching a movie and we're listening to what they're saying to one another and the energy of that, you start to realize a lot. Yeah, go ahead. I see that hand going up.
I just thought of the kids, because I work with children a lot, and some of my parent friends and I have been talking about some of the programming at the preteen, teen level.
Yeah.
Even that they already, like in the shows, in some of those shows, they show like not wanting to go to school, and my parents don't let me do things, and gosh, I wish I could do something different. All these programs,
argumentative
programs.
Yeah.
And if you didn't watch that show, maybe you wouldn't have that thought as a preteen to act that way about my parent or my friends or what have you.
Yeah.
So much of what we're given is given through the black box.
Yeah.
And the black box is pretty much dictating what we're doing in so many levels because we're listening to the shows, the computers, the news, the whatever. I mean, if you stopped and think about where you get the majority of your what you think is your external information, where is it coming from? A black box. There's one sitting right here in front of us.
Right.
The computer's a black box. The television's a black box. They're all black boxes telling us stuff. But, if we can go back to our personal experience of things, we tend to not have so much stimulus or so much coming at us at once.
Well, and like you say,
real
it's right. It's programming. It's
programming.
literally on television. It is programming, right? That's what they call them.
Call it programs. Watch your program.
Watch your program. It's going to program you.
Yeah. Into that that mindset. And a lot of programs right now out there. I don't know if anyone jumps on Netflix here and there, and you see. It's a lot of apocalyptic programming and like doomsday.
Like negative,
very
apocalyptic.
Negative and very dualistic, good and evil in dueling. There's a few shows here and there that are pulling in the more unity concepts and trying to give what I see is like giving people some tools in the masses.
Yeah.
But a lot of the shows are just dark.
Yeah.
And they feel real hopeless, like you're fighting evil.
Yeah.
But they don't really ever tell you that if you just choose love and you decide not to fight anymore, because actually the fight is part of what keeps it going. See, if we just go into unity, then we choose love. I don't really want to fight you. You're my friend and I love you. I just stop fighting, right? That's what turn the other cheek meant.
Yeah.
It's like turn the other cheek, stop fighting, walk into love.
Yeah.
Embrace. So that goes, that's kind of across the board. It's so the simplest thing and so hard to do for so many.
Yeah, and depending on your culture maybe or your personality, it's harder for some than others. I remember as a 20-year-old, I was married to I just got married, and my husband started to argue with me about something, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Not going to argue with you. He's like, you have to fight with me, and I'm like, because I saw what it did with my parents. It never got anywhere. It didn't end in a good way. I'm like, no, can't. And if I didn't fight with them, there was no fight to be had. So there had to be another way to work through or resolve whatever it was. And, I just think it's really important that we think about what we're doing and why we're doing it. It's really about why we're here, you and I talking and being more conscious.
Communication and the power of our words.
Yeah.
And not just the power of what our words are, but how we say them and what their delivery. I'm definitely culprit of having bad delivery in my life and have learned and have put a lot of energy into taking more time to take a breath and think about what I want to say, right? And to reprogram that, because often, especially if you come from wounding, which I did, there's trauma, there's or insecurity, or there's I'm not worthy or I'm not good enough. All those things tend to make us engage in defense or justification or other types of programming. So in order to break those programs and move into a higher frame of consciousness, we have to be willing to, look at ourselves and be honest about what we're doing and listen to the people who love us around us, right?
Yeah.
And hear what they're saying when they might reflect it back.
Yes.
Right? We have to first be open to seeing that they're trying to help us. And then we have to also be able to catch, and listen. And for me, slowing down my breath, and I teach that too now because it helped me, is
teach what you need.
Take a deep breath. That gives you, at least if you take long ones, that's at least 6 to 8 seconds of thinking, coming back into your center and using the tools that we talk about, which is, right, I'm worthy, I'm loved, I'm valued, I have everything I need right now, so I can respond versus react. I can speak with a tone that's pleasing for the person I'm speaking to, or I can have the conversation, because so often, like you just said, we don't even get to the conversation because the argument takes precedent over what was actually going to be talked about. And then one never gets to the actual real conversation. We get stuck fighting about something that takes us nowhere, and then nobody
Takes
learns
us
anything.
away, right.
It takes us away.
Takes us away from...
It's a trick. It's actually pulling us out of understanding the deeper thing. It's like you're at a door of a treasure room, and then a bunch of guards come out and start jabbering with you.
Right. And
You
you
never
forget
get to
what
get in.
you forget what you even were there for.
And you
What was
just
I going in
leave.
there for? I just can't take this. I'm out of here.
You just leave altogether after
Yeah.
you're about to go in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that breath is really important, so we can get to the conversation where then we choose to communicate with grace, and we choose to speak slowly, maybe be aware of our inflection. For me, smiling helps.
Mm-hmm.
Smile while you talk.
It changes your energy.
Yeah.
I remember reading something about that. If you're crying and you kind of know that you're crying as like you're creating the crying because you keep thinking about something that makes you cry more, go in the mirror and look at yourself, and you'll start to smile, and it'll shift your energy. Doesn't mean you don't honor your sadness, but you also don't have to think yourself into the sadness.
Right. Or once you're in your sadness and you honor that, and you find where it's coming from, use those tools so you know where you're really rooted in that energy, so you can find it from the root and then shift it into the smile.
Mm-hmm.
And use the mirror and shift into smile, and shift your energy, because it is that easy. We think it's not easy to shift our energy. We think, wait, I can't do it. I'm angry, I'm mad, or whatever.
Right.
But it really is a choice. And we, as the soul, must be greater than the programming and the fear that surrounds us. We, as a soul, must choose that I, as the soul, want to embody love. For me, ultimately, the only way I've pushed myself forward to get through many of these programmings is my love of God. Honestly, it's my love of the infinite source, my relationship with faith. I have faith and trust and listening and breadcrumbs, and just being willing to die ego deaths again and again, and humble and surrender and listen. And it's not always fun, but that is ultimately, I think, it's the one. It's really ultimately, we're all here on the journey back home to understanding that we are one. And the more we have, the more love and dedication we have to that, the easier it is to get through breaking these greater programming, because the programming is really all around you in so many ways. So it's our love must be greater than our fear. Our love of the infinite, our love of peace, our love of joy must be greater than our wantingness to be right, or to be stuck on a detail, or to prove a point. Right?
Well, yeah. And as you said something about fear, I thought sometimes I can feel the fear in another person when they're kind of ranting about something. And if I can be aware of that, then I can just send that person love while they're talking. I don't have to resolve anything for them, because sometimes someone just needs to speak and be heard. And I can keep that field of love in the space so that they can get there in the time that they need to take to get there.
Right. And you can kind of think of it this way, that in that moment, you're talking to the separated part of the person. It's the wounded part. So in that moment, it's the separated part. So it feels separated from source. And so that's the wounded area. So the more in that wounded part almost always wants to hang on to its wound. Like, it wants to justify its separation.
Yeah.
It wants to be justified in that. Like it almost will, yell or taunt.
It feels like that's what the fight's about.
Right, that's the fight. The fight's like, what you're not going to, and then like you were describing with your ex-husband, like,
right.
What would that look
if
like?
I'm not going to engage with you, then you have nothing to fight with. You're going to have to go someplace else.
And they're really wanting the fight so that it can go, see, I told you, you don't like me, or you're not, you blah, blah, blah. So it can justify its separation.
Yeah.
because the separation, we are here on this earth plane to really, for those, that feel resonant to this, to lift up the love. Find ourselves, claim your stuff, get rid of the trauma and the wound, die your deaths, and move into grace and love, and hold the energy of compassion, love, and grace in this earth grid to basically ascend the earth energies into a higher dimensional frequency.
Which is unity.
Right, which is unity.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, there's a lot of beings on the process. We're all on that.
We're all on the road.
We're all on the road of that at different places on that kind of hike to home. And
hike to home.
Let
me write that down.
Hike to home.
I like that.
Yeah, so we're on that journey, and some of us, like I already went to the waterfall, so I'm, can help a few people find their way through the waterfall zone.
Right.
For instance. And that's kind of what that trauma thing is like it's a zone, like of programming that you're getting through. And on the other side of it is a whole nother gig, and it's a door, and it's hellish. And that is that dark night of the soul, that dark night of the soul where you die your death to yourself, you surrender, you see how horrible you've been in so many ways, and you feel horrible about it, but not to feel bad, but to surrender and to feel, and to crack open your heart into compassion, to crack it open into love, to experience yourself in a greater way so that you can understand more. So it seems like we're not going to get out when you're in that dark place, like there's nowhere to go. But you keep going, you keep walking through the dark, dark, dark until you see the light, and there it is. And you must know the light is there without seeing it. That's why it's so...
That's the trust.
That's the trust.
That's the trust and the faith. Yeah.
You can't see it for that dark night part. Like, it's nothing. You're like, I'm all here by myself in the dark. And scary. But that's the part of your love must be greater than our fear. We have to know that God is with me. For me, I've said this one before, but the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I have everything I need when I need it. Really has been a huge helping scripture, mantra, code, however you like to describe that. But empowering, affirmative phrases, codes, pieces of wisdom that you can say to yourself to unlock or remind or bring you back into zero, into the center, into remembering my faith, my trust. Yes, I can do this. Yes, I have everything I need. Because I also remember this one, I've never given more than I can handle. That phrase has helped me a lot. I'm never given more than I can handle. So I'm here. I must have what it takes because here I am. So let's do this. And I ask for help. Like I pray, God help me, the infinite source, give me what I need. My guide, stay steadfast with me. Lead I not astray. Let I come into grace. And if we have this wantingness in our spirit to really live in the energy of love, then that desire, that trust, that passion for life will fuel us in these dark moments when it feels really difficult, when it feels like we want to separate, we want to push, we want to fight, we want to say, get away. That's when we need to draw into your love. That's when you need to draw into your own love. When you're the person that's saying, push, get away. When you're the person being told that, that's when you draw into your love. That love lives here, and no matter what is going on around me, I'm going to choose love. I'm not going to allow this picture or illusion that I'm sitting in to pull me into separation and engage in a separated format, because like Eila said, well, I don't do that. I stay right here.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay here. You can go there if you like. I'm not in charge of you.
Yeah.
Do whatever you need to do. I ain't going with you to the vibration of that density. It's not really fun. I've already been there.
Yeah,
I don't want to hang out there.
And part of that energy that you're creating for yourself, whatever is going on out there, it just doesn't come in. It doesn't come into my energy field. It's like you're watching a movie. Oh, here's my movie. Oh, I wonder what this part is about. But I'm not going to take it into my being. I'm just going to observe, let that person do what they need to do, and maybe they just needed to vent.
Right. Yeah. And if we are taking it into our being, then there's a connection or a thread that lights up in me that goes, that's still
Some
in
history
me.
needs to
There's
get cleared
something
out.
in me that's still coming up if
Yeah.
I'm getting annoyed, bothered, like we talked about
Yeah.
last time. And so then that would make our communication go into another place that we don't want to go.
Yeah.
So catching ourselves and choosing, again, with that breath, if we commit, my father said, if we can just commit to kindness, that kind of covers all.
Yeah. And kindness means truth, too. I think a lot of people, I was watching something recently that brought this up, as I think it was a radio show where they were talking about kindness, and they kind of expanded on it in saying kindness doesn't mean you're nice to one another. Kindness means you speak truth, but you speak it kindly.
Correct.
It can be a hard truth,
Right.
but it doesn't have to be mean.
And this comes into
Yeah.
delivery. So it's not, a
Yes.
lot of times it's not really about what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I can say to Eila, like, let's just pretend I'm giving her a hard truth.
Yeah.
You don't put your glass on the table over there because it might fall, Eila. I would hate to see that fall on the ground and break.
Right.
That's a hard truth per se.
Yeah.
Okay, but I could deliver it like that, or I could say, Eila,
What's up with
what's
you?
up with you putting your glass over there? It's going to break.
Exactly.
Now,
Yeah.
that doesn't feel so great.
Big vibe difference.
Big
there.
difference.
Yeah.
So our delivery is of utmost importance. And a lot of times, if we've been in a traumatic state, this is important for anyone coming out of trauma or abuse.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really big brain factor involved here. Neurologically, there's actually an addiction itself, addiction pattern that goes in the brain of highs and lows, highs and lows. The brain begins to crave this addictive pattern of explosive and subdued, explosive and subdued. So this is why it's really important to utilize tools that move into your brain psychology. So I do want to have a guest come and join us one of these days here soon, a dear elder of mine who has done a lot of the heart math work from the 90s and beyond, quantum work, etc. But the base, and you might check this out, heart math, that's a tool.
I never heard of that.
So heart math, the base of heart math really comes into simplicity, the breath, breathing into the heart and breathing in, let's say, appreciation or gratitude. Howard describes like breathing from the other side of the universe into your own heart, as much love that you can, like breathing appreciation from everywhere. If you're someone that has felt victimized, abandoned, appreciation is going to be a really good one. Unworthiness, not feeling like you have anything, then gratitude kind of is, for me, it was really gratitude that got me in there. Like I would go into gratitude, and that was my big mover all the time. I breathed into gratitude during my hard places. And just knowing I have what I need, that for me worked. But being like, I'm appreciated, I'm valued, appreciation, I appreciate everything around me, appreciate. So whatever feeling you can tap into, you breathe into the heart and you just sit and breathe into your heart. There's more information there, but if you just start there, if you're like, even if you can't get to the heart math material, you could start right now breathing into the heart.
Absolutely.
Into the back of the heart, deep breaths, breathing as much of that into you, and letting that be the first thing that happens when someone either does deliver at you or you want to deliver poorly to someone. Either
when you're ready to
one,
slam.
Either one, you're going to slam someone else, or you've just
Yeah.
gotten slammed. Let's take that breath into the heart, because one of us gets to choose to create a different situation right now.
Yeah.
As we all know this one, who's going to be the bigger person? But we don't necessarily mean bigger or better. We just mean
No.
who's going to choose love.
Yeah.
Who's going to remember and be a friend and say, hey, let's choose love.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that by just doing it, by choosing the loving expression and not reacting to whatever the person is doing.
That's having the awareness, the willingness to be aware. And as soon as you're aware, this is happening right now, making another choice. I'm going to take a breath. I hear you're really upset. I need to breathe right now. So you don't even tell the person what to do or how to do it or anything like that. Here. You can just simply say, I need I need to take a breath right now. And then if you have an agreement with someone, if it's someone close to you where you have an agreement where you say, if one of us gets heated in conversation and we start getting angry and spewing stuff, let's agree that we just take a few breaths. And, you can make those kind of agreements with people.
You can, and they're important to do, and sometimes they don't work.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're so engaged in your whatever that you can't do your agreement. If you can't, get away.
Yeah.
Go breathe. Step away.
I have to go to the bathroom.
Go to the bathroom. A bathroom is actually a temple.
It sure is.
It is. It's the one place you can go and be alone, usually. Right?
Usually.
You can usually get to the bathroom and be alone.
Yeah.
And so that's a great space. The other part that Eila brought up was truth. So if we've breathed and I've now been able to somewhat respond and get into any sort of conversation, we'll now continuing the conversation and actually hearing the person and being able to have the conversation is now another topic, because that requires me to take nothing personal. And it requires me to know that Eila has a truth and I have a truth, and both can be valid and true at the very same time.
And seem very, very different.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we could both be sitting here and experience this exact moment completely. We are experiencing this moment completely different.
Right.
Because I'm coming from my entire history, vantage point, learning, etc. We each have our own full, vast library of information and experiences. And we're filtering our experience through all of these things that's now coming out to be my facet of the Divine One, her facet of the Divine One. So often those aren't going to be the same. In fact, I'm more excited when they are the same. Like, what? We're having a real shared moment where we're actually experiencing the same thing, because it's kind of like we're all like spinning orbs, and if we just can touch for a second and have one of those glorious moments where we're exactly experiencing something together, that's actually amazing and phenomenal to me. So the expectation that we would do that all the time is kind of totally ridiculous.
That's crazy.
And it's opposite of what I think. So, because it's actually magical to have one. So most of the time we're having different experiences. So if Eila's like, hey, you really slammed the door. I'm like, in my world, I wasn't slamming the door. The wind was blowing and I didn't catch it. I didn't slam it at all. I'm not even thinking about it.
And you were thinking about something else
Thinking about something else. I didn't even notice the door.
It.
Yeah, I didn't even hear the door.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I still didn't slam it. It still did slam. I wasn't per se slamming it with anger or doing something but whatever. Intentional, but we're just each having and if we were able to talk about that and have the conversation on something, which this is a really simple one, but it's not unlike a real complicated one. If she said, hey, you really just slammed the door right then, I could react, or I can take a breath. Oh, I wasn't really feeling that I was slamming the door. I didn't intend to do so. Did it come across as if I slammed it? Right. Now I can actually tune in and say, well, that's her reality. I've noticed that's not my reality, but let me ask further, get further information. So is that the reality that just happened? Was that your experience?
And maybe what it is my mother used to slam the door all the time. So when a door slams, instantly I connect it to some trauma from when my mother slammed the door, and I assume that it was intentional because of that historic experience that I had, right?
Right. So
but you don't know any of that. I didn't even know any of that, and now we both know that. And
because I've asked
because you asked a question.
So I might. Yeah. It's going to take more than probably one. I have to ask. Well, did you slam? Was I slamming it? So well. Yeah, I really did feel kind of jarring, actually. And then you might get to that thought, if I'm patient enough, and I am able to sit and go, if I can wait and not react or get into any defensiveness, and think for a second, well, I wasn't really intending to. I was actually just in a hurry, and I wasn't paying attention to the door. But this might give her, my subtle, patient self, gives her a minute to go into herself and go,
and have an aha moment.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I think that door slamming reminds me of my mother. And she used to slam the door, and gosh, it really scared me. Ooh, I never realized that. Then you have the aha moment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we allowing and helping each other to have that moment because we know we're in a safe space. We've already made an agreement. I'm your friend. You haven't thrown me under the bus and made me not your friend because I said something to you.
Yeah.
And I haven't thrown you under the bus and made you not my
Well,
friend.
and we've deepened our connection
Right.
in that moment.
And we've learned something, and
Yeah.
you've learned something deep about yourself. So then we might laugh and go, oh, wow, well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Good to know. So now you know, maybe work some of your mom threads or, check out a little bit of that in your meditation.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll be more aware not to slam the door because, well, I don't really want to slam it anyway.
Right.
I'd like to be more mindful of that. So thanks for pointing it out.
Right. So it's a win-win.
And
That
we've
becomes
allowed
a win-win, and we learn.
the communication.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you can probably relate out there that in a lot of instances, you never get to that communication and it's over and we've handled it and come to a solution. Something
Right.
some trigger has come up prior to the final and has derailed that from taking place by getting involved in a trigger that now we're talking about a trigger for 10 minutes. Or now we're talking about something else.
Yeah.
It goes all over
Yeah.
because our wounding and separation would like us to fragment.
Yeah.
If you fragment, then you cannot focus on what it is you're really trying to see. And then it's like a bug or like a sneaky little thing. It's running from you. It's hiding. If you laser point focus on something, it has nowhere to go. It means we can change it. Once I understand something, I'm an infinite being. Once I understand it, nothing has power over me. Let that sink in. So if I'm fragmenting, then what's trying to hide itself from me can stay hidden because I'm going all over and I'm not going to where it is. It's tricking me by taking me down other roads.
It's that distraction. It's just a distraction. You're distracted by all these other things now, and you never get to the deeper whatever's at the root of it.
Right. Eye on the prize.
We're going to take a station break with that, and we will be back pretty soon. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm KG. Today, we're going to be talking about drunk driving. Just last night, my mom was driving home from Hilo, and a drunk driver swerved into her lane, and she had to dodge and avoid it coming up a hill.
Drunk driving doesn't only affect the person that's driving and the person that's getting hit. It affects millions of people because that's their loved ones.
9,967 people were killed in drunk driving-related crashes in 2014.
And that's just how much people were killed. There's millions of people out there that got hurt or very badly injured. This is why I feel you should be very mindful about drunk driving.
Whether you listen to blues, jazz, or pop, morning radio on KNKR 96.1 FM will get your day started right. It can help you perk your coffee, toast your bagel, or blend your smoothie. From Django to Janice, morning radio will put a skip in your step. On Tuesdays, 8 to 10 with Kathy B. for Morning Jazz. And on Wednesday, 8 to 10 for Music Magazine. Listen to morning radio and we'll put a tiger in your tank on KNKR LP 96.1 FM.
All right, we're back here at Intuitive Talk Story. It's 3:33 on December 14th, 2022. This is Eila Algood with my dear co-host,
Michal, Anna.
And one of the things you were talking about, I'd like to, because we were talking about language, and you shared some Bible words that speak to you. And I've had one that I grew up in the church, and then I wasn't involved in it anymore. But I always liked this phrase where a minister would start the whatever and say, "This is the day the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and give thanks." And I heard myself saying that, and I'm like, how could I turn that around with words that speak to me now? So So I want to do that because I also feel like for those
You
of
have
you
one?
out there, yeah. So I changed it to this is the day we all have made. I rejoice and give thanks. So the let us tells me it's going to happen later. And by saying I rejoice, I'm doing it right now. And I'm giving thanks right now. And that's just much more meaningful for me. And it still has the same cadence and that same connection to that kind of experience that I remember in church that was positive. So those of you out there listening, maybe you've grown up with a religious words that you've heard, but they just don't completely fit. So adjust them. We're allowed to do that with words. Adjust it to what might fit for you now.
Exactly. I have one. Yeah.
Yeah, you got
totally.
one?
Yeah, of course. I have a million things I say. For a long time, I would say, aloha kakahiaka. Thanks and praise to a glorious day. Because that makes me feel happy. All of us just saying aloha. And because you're saying good rising to creator, really. So, because it's like good rising to the
What is
God.
what is the,
Kakahiaka.
what does
the
that
Hawaiian.
mean?
Kakahiaka. I don't know the direct translation of the specifics of kakahiaka. Ooh, if you do, call in right now.
Please do.
I will tell you this though, aloha, because we've been teaching the kids this quarter about, and I was really shocked to know how few people know. So now a lot of you are going to know. Aloha, alo, to be with. We often think of it as just to be give thanks or to say hello, goodbye. It is those things. It means many things, of course, aloha. And of course, we all have a personal relationship to it. But the breakdown of that word is to be with the breath. Mm-hmm. And if you honi or do traditional so that's really, it is about breath. Breathing is part of Hawaiian tradition. And actually so we'll get into one other word in a second. So aloha is to be one with the breath of life. Yeah. So if we're one with the breath of life and then to breathe with you, if I'm saying aloha to you, Eila, actually I would greet you and honi, breathe together, aloha, which means I am willing to breathe the breath of life with you. It's the same thing as me saying, I am you and you are me. Same thing as me saying, we are one, or as namaste. All of these are phrases recognizing and honoring the divinity within you and the divinity within me, which is in all things. So, where are you? And think, if you didn't know these already and you say aloha every day and you're like, wow, think about how many things you might say every day that you don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Hawaii. What is Hawaii? Ha is the breath. Vai.
Water.
E, the creator. The breath and the water of the creator, of the infinite creator. That's where we are.
What a cool place to live, huh?
And what intense mana. So when you think about where am I? I'm living here in Hawaii. And the breath and the water of the infinite creator. And the mama has been erupting, and the presence and the magnitude of that energy of divine mother in these islands that represent really us, the chakra system, the microcosm of the whole, and the ring of fire in the Pacific Ocean. We are literally in a place that is asking us to be rooted to create safety in the womb. We're in that first chakra. And right now, the Divine Mother is birthing in the first chakra, and to birth through our whole chakra system, to birth through all things, to hold compassion, nurturing, grace, and all that, which brings us back into to home, on our hike home. Yeah.
This morning I got a text from a cousin of mine she could not be more opposite than I am. Very different personalities. She's someone who is very direct. When she has something to say, she just says it, and she's not necessarily thinking about how someone else might feel at the result of what she says. We have different all kinds of stuff. Anyway, she wrote to me this morning. She knows what I'm involved with, and she said, I'm thinking about getting a crystal. Could you advise me on a crystal? And this person, in a million years, I wouldn't think that she'd be thinking about that, but I was like, oh, that's awesome. I felt like honored that she would ask my opinion about something like that. So, I think it's so important that we live our truth and we can see that in one another.
Yes, absolutely.
And people, I had somebody come in the other day a young woman, and she talked and talked and talked. She had this big aha, and I was really honored to hold space while she shared what she's been going through, and just listen to her and realize that I had some similar things. And that's one of the things I really like about this point in my life, is I feel like I've have had some experiences, and that maybe I can share something with someone else that helps them at a time where I wish I had someone to talk to. So I don't know where I'm going with that.
Well, giving back is, giving what we've learned. It's kind of like the way I feel about the things I've been through is, gosh, I really hope this information helps someone, because, man, it was hard and crazy. And if you could avoid this, that'd be great. If I can give you the cliff notes and you don't have to do it the hard way.
Not that hard,
anyway. And there's that. I feel such great honor. I've been serving people as a massage therapist, body worker, spiritual healing since 1999 here on the Big Island. Licensed here since 99. Honestly, I feel like it's such a great honor. I'm so honored and humbled to be of service wherever I've been. I've been able to be of service at different capacity, obviously, at different times. You can only serve where you're at and what I knew at the time, right?
Absolutely.
I could give what I knew.
Yeah.
And that's all I can ever give, is I can only reflect where I'm at myself. And, I think of any healer is just really, it means I've been healing myself. So and I actually want to say I healed myself. And so I'm happy about that. I give thanks and praise.
Yeah,
it is a glorious
It's that
day.
unending process too. It just keeps going.
I think it's an unfolding. Once we get to zero,
yes.
There's a coming out of the ocean, and the tentacles is coming out of the ocean. It's dark and drudgy. All that stuff we were talking about. That you have to go the dark night of the soul thing. On the other side of that is the above the ocean, right? And then you're like on your boat and you're cruising and you're like deciding what you want to learn. It's not like it's over. It's like now it's just expands, like we're learning.
It's expansive.
It means now we're concentrated on learning more and honing in our tools, and you're not thinking about the trauma, drama, and problems. You're not feeling anxiety, agitation, frustration, or any of those like uncomfortable feelings. You're actually not feeling them anymore. They don't exist in your reality any longer.
Including the victim thing.
Well, all of that is associated.
I think once we come to the point in our lives where we realize we're not victims, we're never been victims, then when things happen, it's like, oh, I wonder what's in this for me. It's more curiosity. I wonder what this is about. It doesn't feel good right now, but that's okay, because it's here to teach me something. I'm going to learn something. I can make it exciting.
Exactly. So it's a shift of perspective as we heal ourselves and we come into more unified field and neutrality and the ability to take nothing personal, have a conversation, get our, just talk, connect, share information. We're now walking in a field where we are honoring each other, like Eila and I are honor one another. We have both mutual respect. We're both equally fabulous. We're both equally amazing. And, we have totally different information and also super resonant information. We might see something a lot of times from a really different angle, but we're saying the exact same thing, which is probably what you love hanging out with us, because we're really different, but yet the same.
Yeah, and that's true for all of us, right? Yeah, people can come from very different backgrounds or different experiences, but when you connect, that's what I'm finding lately. When I connect with people more deeply, in an instant, I have a connection with someone I've never met in my life, and we're speaking the same language in that moment about whatever that deep concept is.
Source.
It's like,
you're just in the field of unity.
That's it. And it's love. And it's like there's many, many roads and many ways to talk about it. But when you get to that place with another human on that soul level, the words are just a way to communicate. But it's really the energy that I feel when I'm interacting with somebody, where it feels like we're in, what is the
Resonance.
term? Yeah, resonance. That was one of the words that you wanted to put in for today, resonance.
Yeah, in resonance, because you're vibrating together. That's what happens. We're all vibrating, actually. We're all in frequency. And, well, of course, if I'm feeling really crappy, then I bring really crappy things to me. If I'm feeling really good, I'm vibrating more good things to me. So we're attracting. It's back to, really physics.
Yeah.
We're vibration, quantum
Right,
physics.
like attracts like.
Like attracts like,
Yeah.
electrons, protons. Here we are, and we're vibrating. And so when we vibrate into higher frequencies, the things around us vibrate into a higher frequency too. When we vibrate lower, the things around us vibrate lower. That's why they say, hang out with people you want to be like. If you hang out with people who are also as sad as you are, then you're probably not ever going to get to a happy place. You want to surround yourself with where you want to go, not necessarily where you might be right in this moment. If I'm I've jumped, I did that my whole life.
Me too.
I didn't want to stay here. I'm going to go over there. I see what they're doing. I feel that they feel amazing. I want to learn more about that energy.
Yeah.
I'm going to go hang out over there and learn more about that. See, and then you're willing to surrender things. So you have to be willing to let go of what you maybe have always had sometimes, or a familiar thing, or familiar concept, or familiar energy in your body, or familiar behavior, or a familiar response. You have to be willing to drop those things and see really, like, who am I? If you're more curious, if you think you know yourself really well and you're like, oh yeah, I've got it dialed, I just know all about it. The chances are you don't, because we're all learning. We know ourselves, but we're learning and expanding, and we're curious, and there's just so much to know. We're infinite, so how could I possibly know everything? I can't. There's no way. I don't know. Everything is kind of like, I don't know. I don't even really know that this is the color black on this lid on my drink because, someone just told me it's black. They just started telling me to call it that.
Right.
What is it really called, or what is it really? I don't know. So it can get very philosophical, but when you just distill it down to basic concepts, breath, unattached and amused, take nothing personal, come back into your 0 point in neutrality, and choose love. How do I want to show up? How do I want to resonate? How do I want to vibrate? What do I want to vibrate into my life? What would I like it to look like? So you're in charge. We're all in charge of our own destiny. We're creators of our reality. So saying that's a great one to say, I'm in charge. I'm in charge. Yeah, me. I'm in charge. Hey, guess who's in charge? Me. Do you know who's in charge, Eila? Me. Right? Make it fun. It's not a drab situation. If you want to get at it in the video game, if you're like, oh, I hate this video game, I don't want to play, you're never going to win. So if you want to win the game of life, play the game and have some fun.
Might as well.
Might as well. You're here.
Not much else to do.
You're here, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Here we are.
You were talking about interacting with other people, and someone said to me, maybe it's a year ago, they said, you always pick people who are kind of difficult to hang out with. And I'm like, well, I don't know what you mean exactly by that, but I like people who are interesting. The person who says yes to everything isn't going to challenge me if they just agree with everything I say and do. In fact, I've had friends like that just, oh yeah, let's do what you want. Yeah, let's go where you want, and never have an idea or anything. No, I want to be around. And a lot of my life, I had older friends. Now that I'm 60s, I still have a few older friends, but I also like to have friends of all ages because I see what a 20-year-old has to offer different than a 40-year-old. We're all at these different stages. So I think it's really valuable to look at who you're hanging out with, and to have those moments where you see someone doing something, you're like, I know I felt like that about the radio. It's like, oh, wow, I don't know if I could do the radio, like to be on the radio and you have to get the music ready. This was before talking on the radio, forget that. but that was a new challenge, at that time in my life. Let's see what that feels like. I was talking to Lydia about that. It's like, let's get a little scared once in a while. It's
Push
okay.
the envelope.
Yeah.
You got to ride the edge of the envelope, or else you're not really learning. And I too have always called, like you, of course. I've always called in challenging situations into my life as well, because I want to go fast.
Yeah.
I don't want to hang out here that long, so I want to go fast. So give me the hard stuff, because I'm going to get all the stuff that's in me. First and foremost, remember, you're on your own journey. Mm-hmm. I'm on my own magical journey on the earth plane, rising into the fifth dimension, giving thanks and praise, shedding my programming, shedding my stuff, and getting my gifts and giving thanks, right? So I have to eye on the prize. Everything, I'm like, give me what's going to rattle me, and let's see what rattles me. Mm-hmm. If it's rattling me, I still got work to do. Yeah. So I've been on the mission of give me everything to rattle my stuff. I got to go. I got to get here. That's how I got
here.
Get
this.
Yeah. Is, rattling my stuff.
Yeah.
See what's in there. Because sometimes it hides. Things hide in there. So you need, give me the reflections that are going to bring it up. So I can see it. And then on the other side, that, like you said, it's interesting. It's interesting to hear different perspectives. And then on the other part, like we talked about in the beginning, sometimes you're just holding space. Maybe I have a difficult friend because I'm helping them hold space. And someone needs to bridge that. I've always thought of myself as a bridger in many ways.
Yeah.
But like if only happy people hung out together and only sad people hung out together, well, then sad people would never be happy. I mean, you know what I mean? Like we just said, sad people need to go somewhere where they feel happier. So if you're sad and, someone else is really happy, then you're a difficult, like you kind of like have to help your difficult friends. We have to help each other.
Yeah.
They're having a hard time feeling sad right now. Let me help you get happy. And maybe you help me crochet.
At another time.
Or, or whatever. We're all helping each other with something. We all have gifts. We all have beautiful things to offer, but we're all in different places. So sometimes, like I have my friend of mine who's like calls me all the time for stuff on the computer. She's brilliant at everything, but not that.
Yeah.
She's like, I need your help to do really simple things, and there's no, like, it doesn't take away from our brilliance because we have things we're not that great at or we're working on.
Yeah.
And if we could be more transparent about that as a whole, we would help each other more because we wouldn't be embarrassed to admit that we all have some issues, that we all have some trauma.
I think that goes back to a lot of us thinking that in order to be a grown-up, we have to be independent. And that means we have to do everything ourselves. I have to be able to do this whole thing myself, rather than I can do these parts really well and effortlessly, but that's super hard. I need help with that. And to get the help that you need when you need it, whatever it is, whether it's a practical task or an emotional trauma or something going on in your life, you need some help. Hey, I need some help.
Yeah, ask for what you need. It's a fine line, I feel like, in trusting the self and then asking for help. So like you expressed last time when you were like, oh, okay, I'm just going to take care of myself, feel better. I don't have to always like go to a doctor or you don't have to go to someone for everything that goes wrong. You have more tools than you think. Take a breath, think, deepen into yourself, and you might find the answer.
Right.
So if you're connecting to source, that's kind of like if you need help, the way I like to see that is connect to source, go into your 0 point and ask for help to source of what I need. So source is going to then help me decide where I need to go because I actually might make a wrong choice by myself. I might not, I might like, well, so-and-so is probably great, but that wasn't the best choice. But if I took 10 minutes to breathe and meditate and kind of drop into and get into source energy and ask source, spirit, God, what's in my highest good? Like, what's really the best option? I just put it in my path. I might not get the answer right then. Sometimes I do. Right then, oh, that's the answer. Great, thanks. Or maybe I go on a drive and then I run into somebody and then they have the answer.
Yeah.
Or I go to the corner store and that guy has the answer. Answers kind of come all over. If you want to ask, be prepared to receive. You will receive an answer if you're truly asking and listening.
If you're awake enough to know that something is an answer for you.
Right. And then you get the help you need and that it's in your highest good versus sometimes we can just get overhelped too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. No, you can overdo the asking for help. You know, I went to the doctor last week, something I really procrastinate doing. And one of the things I thought about as I set up the appointment and I made the decision I was going to go, and it really was the right thing for me to do, is maybe it wasn't just about me going to her to find out something for me. Maybe she needed me there. What do I know? I don't know what this is all
That actually
about.
happened to me too at the doctor.
How about that?
I actually gave some pretty great information to my gynecologist. That was like
Yeah.
a spiritual mind, body, spirit info.
There you go.
When I went, like, and honestly, everything they told me did not help whatsoever. But I was able to
And
be
that's
helpful.
okay. That's okay if you have that attitude where it's like, yeah, but I feel good. I just left. They did nothing for me, but I feel good because I think I did something helpful
Yeah,
there.
and I realized I had the answer already. I already knew.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by overhelping.
Yes.
Or going when you don't need it. Like sometimes it was one of my I already know the answer. I know what I need to do. I should just trust myself. I went and did that whole experience kind of for no reason, but at the same time I was helpful, and that
But
was
you
a
helped
blessing.
somebody else, and
I
maybe
give
that was
thanks
the
for
whole
that.
purpose
and
behind
maybe
it.
that was the whole point.
Yeah.
And at the same time I'm still going to learn
Yes.
that I don't need to look outside of myself on that one. Got it. Kind
Yeah.
of thing. So
Yeah.
it's deciphering and discerning what it is. Like, do I actually need help, or am I not trusting myself? Do I actually have the answers I need? Sometimes when we're going to, you mentioned victim,
Yeah.
or we tend to go into blame, victim, or I'm all alone, or oh my God, I can't do it myself.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I need help. That's different than genuinely needing a reflective opinion, or hey, I need a second hand on the project. Sometimes you just need an extra pair of hands.
Right. If you
Right?
don't have four hands and you're trying to
Sometimes-
put something on the wall, you
just need an extra person. Sometimes it's just that simple.
that 100-pound mirror needs more than two hands.
And another, yeah, exactly. And another time is if you have gotten energetically bombarded, sometimes you need a friend to bring in a little more juice energetically. Let's hold hands and pray together because, well, where two or more are gathered, it shall be done. We got more battery power. We just got more juice. And if it got on me by myself, well, then I probably need some help.
Right. Well, and we can also learn from one another. Like, I've come to you for whatever's going on in me, and now I'm using some of those tools that you do. I'm like, okay, I can pull that out of my neck.
Exactly.
Let's just do it. I didn't think that there was anything there before coming to see you, but now maybe there is. So let's just get it out of there.
And now and then you're experiencing that working,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is even more exciting.
So
like,
teaching each
oh,
other too, how we can help each other, not just do something for somebody, maybe do it with them, and then maybe they can take something away from that, a new tool for themselves.
Now you're talking my language, because
Yeah.
the work I'm doing, and a spiritual guidance, and I do a lot of remote sessions and talking on the phone with folks, as well as in person work. But I'm always saying I'm in the business of building lighthouses.
Yes.
Let's teach you how to fish. I'm not going to give you fish. Teach you how to
Yes.
fish. You're creating this because every one of us has a network of people who are looking to us. Really, we're all lighthouse for someone, right? So we all get to become empowered and realize our co-creative divine essence. You don't need me forever. You just need the
Right.
tools, and you just
Right.
need to understand. And let's get you on your path. And then boom, here you go. Now
Yeah.
you're thriving, and you have someone to reflect with if you need it. But it's kind of like get you on the bike, put
It's
the
like
trainer
kids,
wheels on.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
off we go. We just need the tools, and we need to integrate them and realize it's about managing your energy, making choices, and knowing you are in charge.
Absolutely. And you get to decide what's right for you.
Oh, and a big one, forgiveness. Let's not leave that out, because in this game, you can't get real far without forgiving. You got to forgive a lot, kind of all the time. And if there's anything left in your field with any person, if you are on the road to path to embodying unity, and then anything that is not at zero it out. If that's like, there's still that one thing. I had one of those for myself. I called someone that something had happened 2 years earlier. Not a person I know well, But it was an interaction I really just did not do a good job with. I did a
And
poor,
you
poor
still
job.
remembered.
It was 2 years later. Yeah, this
Yeah.
was a few years ago, but it was 2 years later, and I literally reached out, wrote them, and apologized for my behavior and what I, had done, and said I really had some time to think about it, and I really, that was not appropriate. And I was hurting myself. I was transparent and honest about where I was, and I asked for forgiveness. And it wasn't even someone close, and I haven't even ever spoken to the person again. It just was a zero out of my field.
Yeah.
Because it was still something in myself that I was like, oh, that's still there.
Yeah.
Like I did that. I don't feel good. I don't want to behave like that. And I don't want that kind of energy still out there around myself. That's not who I want to be. So,
and I was just talking to somebody about something like that, and I suggested to the person, they were having one of these, up against each other. I said, talk to the person's higher self. Don't try to talk to them. You know what they're going to respond, that they have this pat response and they make you wrong. So don't go down that path. Talk to their higher self, appeal to their higher self, and then let it go. You might get some insights from that.
So to kind of expand on what you're even saying, that kind of to me means follow what we said at the beginning of this, is get into breath, don't react, go into response. If you're talking to your partner, friend, or whomever in a separated, wounded format, it's kind of a waste of time. It doesn't hear it. So all you can do is be love. So either way, if you're the one feeling separated, then try to catch yourself and get out to the bathroom like we talked about, or and feel love, etc.
Yeah.
And then find yourself in a neutral place so that you can come into a place to do what Eila's just describing, which is then have a moment to get in touch with their higher self, which means cut cords. We've talked about this, but cutting cords with the person, because it means you're probably corded with them on your lower chakras. Cut all cords to all beings, connect them to the God of their heart as you're connected to the God of yours. And then you can intentionalize that I'd like to speak to my best friend, my partner, my brother, my sister at the highest level, God source energy. Can we talk there? I just speak to him at that level in my meditative space, right? I'm feeling into just love with my brother, love with that person, right? And just, I love you, please forgive me. And then remember the whole Ho'oponopono. So this is like easy tool. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Ho'oponopono, everything. That simple things are big shifters. Again, forgiveness, surrender, ego deaths, breathe, unattached and abuse. Take nothing personal. Have the conversation and be willing to walk into love.
And on that note, we're going to breathe out of this beautiful show we did today. And thank you all for tuning in and listening, whether it's live and in this moment or at another time. And thank you, Michal, for being here and sharing time and space and breath.
Thank you, Eila. And may we all just take a breath together to end this show and close our field and portal all together of sharing time. Take a deep breath into your heart and experience appreciation, gratitude, whatever you need today, filling yourself up, knowing that that energy is always around you, ever present and available for you to embody, to fill you.